Hello there, my name is Luke and welcome to my review of the National League season so far. So most teams in the league have now played around 28 games, so about halfway through the season, and I thought it was time that we look back to see what has been surprising about the first half of the season. So first of all, we're going to look at the league table, and up at the top you can see there Lincoln City are currently leading the way with 55 points from 26 games. They've got 2 games in hand on Forest Green, who've got 53 points, so they're 2 points behind. So if Lincoln can win those 2 games in hand, then they could be like 8 points clear. That's insane for this stage of the season. They'll be really happy with their first half of the season. Playoffs are Forest Green, Tranmere, Dagenham and Dover. Then the chasing pack for the playoffs, we've got Barrow, Aldershot, Macclesfield, Gateshead, Chester, Borehamwood and Eastleigh. I think that's sort of the pack that can really be in a playoff push for the second half of the season. I think teams below that will be sort of struggling to get into that sort of bracket basically, because below that we've got Bromley, Wrexham, Sutton, Solihull, Torquay, Braintree, Southport and Woking. And of those, I think the ones that could be in a relegation fight is basically anyone from Solihull downwards, because they're not out of sight yet. Solihull there on 33 points, yet Maidstone in 21st, they're on 26. So with only a 7-point gap between those and between Maidstone and Solihull. So in the relegation zone we have got Maidstone, Guiseley, North Ferriby United and York City, bottom of the table in 24th. So the lowest scorers in the league are North Ferriby, who have scored just 14 goals from 29 games, which is less than a goal every 2 games. I don't see them staying up with that sort of goal scoring form. You know, to stay up you've got to score goals, and score 14 in 29 games just isn't good enough. So I fear for them, probably more so than York, because York, they're bottom of the league. They're not doing well. So the top scorers in the league are actually Dover. They're sitting in 5th place at the minute. 58 goals from 28 games. So that's more than 2 goals a game on average. That's pretty insane, to be honest, from a part-time side like Dover, who are definitely doing well this season. The team with the best defensive record in the league are Tranmere, who've conceded just 22 goals from 28 games. And the team with the worst defensive record is Southport, who've conceded an incredible 56 goals from 28 games. That's an average of 2 goals conceded a game. So now to look at the overachievers so far this season, and the biggest overachiever in my opinion is Dover. They're the only part-time side I believe in the top 10. They're currently sitting in 5th, mainly thanks to the goals from Ricky Miller, who's been on fire up front so far this season. So another overachiever in my opinion is Barrow. They've brought in a lot of players this season from lower levels, so it's a little bit of a risk, but they've been very, very good with their recruitment. Players like Jordan Williams, Moussa Diarra, they've been really good and influential for Barrow this season. Have been a real reason why they went on that long sort of 25 game-ish unbeaten run. Also, Borehamwood up in 11th. They were in a relegation battle last season, just about managed to survive, but they're doing very solid this season. They are still part-time and they're up in 11th. Now on to the biggest underachievers so far this season, and the one that stands out is York City being bottom of the league, freshly relegated from the Football League, and they've been horrendous so far this season. They've only got 22 points from 28 games, they're 5 points from safety. Although I do think they will probably stay up because they've got Gary Mills in charge and he's a solid manager. Got promotion with York City a few years ago up to the Football League. So they brought him back in after Jackie McNamara, well, it was a bit of a car crash really, his spell in charge. They've won 3 of their last 6 games in all competitions, which is promising to be fair. So things might be looking up a little bit, but they've got a lot of work to do to stay up this season. Another big underachiever in my opinion is Wrexham. They're down in 14th place, a big club with a fairly big budget, a really big fan base as well. They get very high attendances in a really, really nice stadium in the racecourse ground. They've been challenging up to the top of the league for a number of years now. Last season wasn't amazing, and this season has been very, very anti-climax as well. Down in 14th place so far. They've got a lot of work to do if they want to try and get into the playoffs. They're currently 11 points off the playoffs. And the third biggest underachiever is Eastleigh, down in 12th place. For me, this is the funniest of all of the underachievers, because Eastleigh, they just throw all the money that they've got at the team and just hope for the best. They buy a lot of players that are sort of past their best on big salaries, that have played for a number of years in the Football League, a lot of experience, but they've not got that hunger and desire that the younger players have really got. So they're sort of buying, in my opinion, the wrong players. but they're putting them on massive salaries, and it clearly hasn't worked so far this season. They're on their third manager in Martin Allen of the season, with one of, if not the biggest budget in the league, down in 12th, 40 points from 27 games. So now to look at the top scorers in the league so far this season, and by far and away the top scorer is Ricky Miller of Dover. As I mentioned earlier, a big reason as to why they're in the playoffs, because his 25 goals make him the top scorer in the league. In second is Byron Harrison of Barrow, 17 goals. In third is Oliver Hawkins with 16 goals, plays for Dagenham and Redbridge. Fourth is Christian Doige of Forest Green, who's got 14 goals. Then in fifth is Andy Cook of Tranmere on 12 goals. The biggest victory of this season so far was Sutton United 0, Dover Athletic 6 on the 29th of November. The highest scoring game was on New Year's Day. It was Forest Green Rovers 5, Torquay United 5. That game is one that I really wish I was at, because for the neutral, that is unbelievable stuff. The highest attendance was on the 12th of November, and it was between Tranmere Rovers and Chester, and the game ended 2-2 with an attendance of 7,790 people. A lot of people to enjoy that local derby. The lowest attendance is actually two different matches that have both had 313 people at the game, and they are both home matches for Boreham Wood. One was against North Ferriby, one was against Braintree. They won one game against North Ferriby and they lost the game against Braintree. So now looking forward to the end of the season, and the team that I think is going to win the league is Lincoln City. And with 2 games in hand over Forest Green, they could extend their lead to 8 points. And if they do that, then it will be difficult to catch them. And they're going from strength to strength so far this season, and I can't see them surrendering that top spot. In the playoffs, I think it will be Tranmere finishing in second, Forest Green finishing in third, Dagenham and Redbridge in fourth, and Barrow in fifth. I think that Ricky Miller, as long as he stays in form, as long as Dover are able to actually keep hold of him and he doesn't get injured, then they could be in the playoffs. But if he gets injured or they sell him, then that could be really detrimental to their season, because his goals are so important for them. Then looking down to the relegation zone, I think the teams that are going to be relegated, I think North Ferriby will finish bottom of the league. I think second bottom will be Guiseley. In 22nd, I think will be Maidstone. And in 21st, I think it will be Woking. So there you have it. Do you support a National League team? If so, let me know in the comment section down below, because I'll be really interested to hear what you think of your season so far. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And thanks for watching.